Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masechtas Bava Metzia daf Tes, we're going to begin on Ches Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. Tashma, Shnayim Shahayu Moishchin B'Gamal. So you have two people that are pulling a camel, Umanhigin B'Chamor, and leading a donkey. Or for that matter, you have one person that is pulling the animal and the other one's leading it. As we continue to test them on Aleph, B'mida zos kanu. And we're going to explain what exactly that means. In this particular manner, that is a kinyan. These ways will not work. It has to be that you're pulling the camel and you're leading a donkey, and not the other way around, according to Yehuda. Katanim is, we learned, Oshoy echad moishech v'echad manhig. So one of the cases was one of them is pulling and the other one is leading. Now, moishech manhig it's mashma that the only way you can make these kinyanim with these animals is dafka in this way. But not riding on it. So we had a machlokas in yesterday's daf that maybe rachav enough is a kinyan. So hu adin diafil rachai. The truth is you could actually be kaina even riding it. So why does it mention these cases? It's coming to exclude the way that Rabbi Yehuda says that it has to be pulling a camel and leading a donkey. Even the other way is kaina. But certainly roichev will work too. Okay, so if that's what it means, then you should just include it all together and say say clearly that way. The answer is you can't, because ikat chad sad, there is actually one element deloy kani that it doesn't work. Either pulling a donkey or leading a camel, which again, this is what Yehuda is bothered with. He says that it's an issue, both. You have to be engaged in meshicha with a gamal and hanhaga of a chamor, not the other way around. But the Tanakama actually agree to one of those two. So therefore, that's the reason why it couldn't just all be inclusive, because there's one of them which doesn't work. These the Moisif Maseifa. Some people add that which we also said, that B'mida Zu Kana. It works this way. B'mida Zula Mutimai. So what's that coming to exclude? Well, Muti Rachov. So again, we ask the Kasha, it's coming to exclude Rachav, that riding an animal is not a kinyan. Well, Muti Ivcha just means the other way around. Ihachi Hana Rabbi Huda. Ikbenayut Sad Echad Deloy Kana. So again, it's not that they completely agree with Rabbi Huda. Rabbi Huda says there's two ways it won't work. Tanakama says one way it won't work. We just don't know which one that is. Okay, Tashma. Echad rachoi, focusing on that word, riding a chamor. Echad tafas b'moisera, or someone who is holding on to the straps, holding onto the rope. Zekana, this one is kaina. Zekana chamor. So this one is kind of the donkey. L'chara for riding, being rachayiv. Zekana moisera. The other one is kind of the straps. So shmamina rachav kani. We see beferish over here that riding it is a kinyan, because it says clearly that they're both kaina. Though obviously the one who's holding onto the moisera, that's what he's kaina. Rachav is kaina the chamor, it says. So we say Rachav is kaina. So hachanami b'manig baraglav. It's talking about where you had like spurs and you hit the animal, and therefore that's how it moved. Okay. So yihachi. So nikni nami Rachav b'moisera. Understand, if that's how he's able to be kaina this donkey, because he's not just doing rachai, but he's mamish moving and leading the animal, he's being manhiget. So in that situation, he should also be kaina the Moser as well. Because the Moser, as Rashi says, like a tachshit of the chamor, and therefore it's kechamor dami. It should be just like the donkey itself. So ema zekana chamor v'chatzi Moser v'zekana chatzi Mosera. You're right. He will be kinda the donkey and also part or half of the Mosera. Now Bishul Merachav Kani, I understand why that works. To kagba, to come in magbale ben das, because a ben das is the one that was engaged in this process. El tafas b'Mosera b'Maikani. I understand the person who was tafas b'Mosera, the strap. How is he kinda? Says Rashi. How is he kinda the other half? Palga. This is what we saw numerous times in yesterday's daf. It's like the other half is on the ground. It's not a full kinyan of hagbah. So why would we say that the person who held on to the reins or to these straps, it shouldn't work at all? You're right. Really, the one who's rachlev or manhig, that person gets the donkey and the entire mosera, and the other guy only gets what he's holding on to. So, which we also introduced in yesterday's daf. If you say that by lifting up a metzia for the sake of a friend that the other person is kainet, maybe that only works when you have das to be able to pick something up for someone else. This guy wanted it for himself, and now the ihu lokani, if he himself is not kainet, so achrini machni. Would it make sense in this exact the same lashon we saw in yesterday's stuff? So does it make sense that the other person should be he should be machnet for them? The other person should be kainet based on his friend's actions. But if it doesn't work for him, it shouldn't work for the other person either. Some Ravashi. So finally, okay, here we go. Zed, the one who's reichev is kana chamor. He acquires the donkey. Ubeis pageha. Was base pageha, says Rashi. Masha baroisha chamor, chamor dami, like the straps on its head. That is what he's kaina. Only that. Only the base pageha. But that kind of masha tafas biel. The other one's kind of just what's in his hand. The sharlu kind of zelo is that. The other, but no one's going to be kind of either way, because even if you hold hamag bia matzil chavero kind of chavero, that's only if you yourself can be kind. If you can't be kind, you're not going to be machnet to someone else. Someone who, after all, you don't want this person to be kind at all, especially if you don't get anything. Really say it as it is. Since you could take it, and bring it to you. Says Rashi, hatafos b'moisera, the one who's holding on to these straps, he's lamashcha b'koyach. He's holding it on with strength. He has the ability to bring it to him. He has control over those straps. And therefore the fact that he has control over it, so we say that he does have a kinyan on it, to some extent. Fine. It's not like it's lying on the ground. I have had Rabbi, and that statement of Rabbi is bedusahi. Is actually on the outside. This whole statement, the statement of Rav Avoi is bedusi. Says Rashi, the afagav the yochel and not take, because even though it's true that you would be able to bring it to you, that's not considered to be hagbah. The fact that you could do it doesn't work. If you don't say this, then talshi munachas chetzi al gabi karka v'chetzi al gabi amud. If you have, let's say, talis, which half of it is on the ground, and the half of it is on a pillar, and one guy picks up the half from the ground, and then someone else comes and picks up the half from on the pillar. You tell me, the first one should be kind of because he could have brought it to himself? No, doesn't make any difference that he could have, but he didn't, and therefore he's not kind of it. He's not kind it. So it should be the same thing in this case as well. So therefore it's bedusa. It can't be that we're going to say that the person who's holding onto the Maseira, it's shaykh that they're able to still be kind of something because they could have just pulled it. Doesn't work like that. Okay. Tashma. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Rachai Basada. A person is, again, focusing on the word riding, which is the whole question, the machlokas by Rachai, but you're doing this in a field, or manhig be'ir kana. If you're manhig in the city, it's a good kinyan. So what do we see? Again, Rachai works. Says Rashi, what is this referring to? Rachel behema, Rachel basada, a behema shel Metzia. We're talking about an animal that was found, kaina of a little be'ir, but you cannot be kaina in a city if you're riding in a city. We'll explain the reason why that works. Anyway, but we see Rachel alone works. No, hachinami b'manhig baraglav. It's not really that you're just riding it; you're manhig it. You're moving it with your feet. So Yehachi Haini Manhig. We already said that. No, Trey Gabni Manhig. There's two different types of Manhig. Yehachi Rachav Be'ir my time Loikani. So why can't riding it or being Manhig it in a city, why doesn't it work? Why only in the field? So Rav Kahana, Lavishin Darkin Shomani Adam, Lircha Be'ir. Because it's not the norm for people to ride in a city. Says Rashi, Mishum Sinusa. Because of sneeze reasons, you don't ride in a city. You leave the animal in a city. You're not riding it in a big area. So because of that, that is the din. Fine. Interesting. Before we go weiter, on the side by below the B'chanan, it says perish b'makom shetoy chachamim. And we said the word barusa. When the Chachamim make a mistake, they don't say the proper thing. We don't want to embarrass them. Use the language that they made a mamash flat out mistake. El omer barusahi. It's just like an outside thought, which is, even though it really is a total mistake, but it's a different. We are sensitive in the language so as not to insult that sage. Which is, again, it's a tremendous, unbelievable point. Okay. Amalei Rav Ashi or Rav Kahana. Okay, so Elamiyata Hababia Arniki b'Shabbos. If a person picks up a purse of money on Shabbos, Shein Darkin Shomadi Adam Hagbia Arniki b'Shabbos, because it's Shabbos, you don't walk around carrying all this stuff. So Hachinam Dolakani. It's not a kinyan. What does that mean? It's still a kinyan. A kinyan is a kinyan. Even if it's on Shabbos, even if you're not supposed to pick it up on Shabbos, but if you did, you'd be kained. Elamai de avad. V'kani. Even though what you did was wrong, but you're kained the arniki on Shabbos. Hachinami, so the same thing, by the avad v'kani. I understand. Because people generally don't ride in the city. So what? But if it's a kinyan, then it should be a kinyan. Shouldn't matter what people do. We're talking about a business transaction. We say, I want you to be kind the normal way that people are kind of things. So therefore, in the city, it isn't a kinyan because people don't ride in the city. That's the idea behind that. Let's look at question 7 before we turn the daf. So when do we say it's normal for a person to ride and not lead it? So far, we know typically in the city we do not ride. We do not ride it. So how about the other way around? So that's the question, which we actually didn't really get to. So it's more going to be on Testament Bays. Okay, so let's see the Gemara continuing on Testament Bays. Okay. The Rishus Rabimu, this is going to be part of the answer to question 7. If we're dealing with a Rishus Rabim Kani, then it will be a good kinyan. Says Rashi, why? Be'ir de derech lirchayv sham. People do ride animals in a Rishus Rabim. V'lo hanhig. They don't pull it. Pen yisbaku oiver drachim bin levin behemtoi. Because there's so many people and you're pulling it so people could go in between you and the animal. So therefore, because of that, it is the norm for a person to be able to ride a donkey or an animal, whatever, in the Rosh Hashanah, and therefore that would be a kinyan by Mekach HaMemchar. V'i Adam Chashiv hu Kani. Also, if the person is an Adam Chashiv, in which the person doesn't typically pull animals, but it is proper and respectful for him to ride it, even in areas which are typically not used, not ridden. But for an Adam Chashiv, we say that does work. V'ishahi Kanya. Also for a woman. It's a third time. Why by a woman? It says V'chein isha de'in b'koyach lechai sabahema pen tinaki kimena. So even though you're supposed to lead the animal in the city, but a woman who doesn't maybe have the same physical strength as a man, so therefore it's better that she should ride the animal. The inish zilahu kani, and also if he's an ish inish zilah, like a lowly person. So this is all the 4 times that answers question 7. What does that mean? Shedarka lircha lifnei kol af beloy doichak lefi shenu senua. So the whole reason why you don't ride in a city is because of sneas. So someone who is lowly doesn't care, and therefore he will ride it. Adam benini, says Rashi, kagain shenu chashiv, ba'oisher, you're not wealthy, v'enu boish, l'hoylech behema baraglav, ein darka lirchayv, v'simta be'ir mishum sneas. In the simta of a city, because of sneas, you don't ride it. Okay. Barba Lezer, ha'imel chavero. A person says to his friend, Meshaych behema zu, I want you to pull this animal, liknois kelim sholeha, in order that you should be able to be kaina, this is through memchach memchar, the kelim that are on it. So, and therefore you would, I want to sell you the kelim, but here's the catch, right? She says, vulas behema, I don't want to sell you the animal. Now there's kelim on the animal, can you do mashiach? And normally mashiach works on metalton. Now if you pull the animal, can that work because there's the kelim are on the animal, even though you don't want the animal to be sold? So that's the question. Mahu liknois. Mi armule kini. Did he say to acquire it? So elo meshech behemazu v'kani kelim sholeh mahu. This is what he said. Do mashiach on my animal, and you be kind of the kelim. Mi mahanya mashiach de behema. Like nui kelim alo. Do we say, even though you're not being kind of the animal, but by pulling the animal, is that enough that you could actually be kind of the kalim too? Kalim, not the animal. So Amarava, I Amrule kani behemo kani kalim, mi kana kalim. I don't understand. Let's say he actually said, I want you to be kind of the animal and the kalim. He wants you to be kind of both of them. So you're telling me, why would you think that Mashiach of the behemo would work? Chatzma halechasi. This animal is like a moving courtyard. The chatzma halechas l'kana, and when it comes to a chatzma halechas, you can't be kind of things. If you want things to be, you want to be kind of things, it has to be a chatzma which is not moving, but not an animal. The chitema kishamdo, while it's standing still. V'hakol sheilu mahalach l'kana oim v'yoshev l'kana. So if it's standing still, also it's not kinda. We see this Gemara in like so many places. Bikfusa. What if the animal's tied? We're talking about the animal's tied up. It has to be, the Hilchas Arash's high pshita has to be that the animal's tied up. And therefore it's considered to be a chatzer. And therefore, since it's like a chatzer, which is not mahalachas, so then the question again is, can you be kaina the kalim on it? So Amrli Rav Papa, Rav Huna Bar Rav Yeshua, or Rava El Miato, Hay Mahalach Basfina. Let's say you're on a boat. With kavtzu dogim, and fish jumped, the naflo teichasfina, they landed into your boat. You're going to tell me you're not acquiring the fish in that case because it's a moving object like this animal. So your boat is also not going to be able to kind of the fish that are now in your boat. So Amrulay, no. Sfina menach naicha. The truth is the boat doesn't move. The boat is a solid entity. It's just umayhu de kamam tula. It's the water that's moving the boat. But the boat is really like a chatzir she'en mahalachas, which is interesting. But a donkey is just moving by itself. Very interesting chiluk. Okay. Fine. So that's the answer. So again, what we said before, since we're asking in a case where you are not being kind to the animal, it's mashma when you are trying to be kind to both the kelim and the animal, you would think automatically be kind it. But we said that shouldn't be because an animal is a chatz mahalachas. But we said, but if the animal's tied up, then certainly it's not an issue. Then if you're kind of both of them, so then it works. The question again is, can you be kind of just the kalim? You're walking in the street, you throw it into her lap, or into Rashi's solid basket. That what they tell me that's also not going to be a get. Says Rashi. What we learn in Masechtas Gittin on Daf Ayin Zayin, Zarko Agita l'toicheka. If you throw a get into her lap, tochal tahar zumgrashes. But why isn't her lap like a chatzar mahalachas? Armulei kalta meinach naicha. Just like the boat, her lap is not moving. V'ihi dika masagim atuta. But maybe she's moving from underneath, but she's staying still in this case. So therefore, also when it comes to this woman, she can be makabel her get when it lands into her lap, and that's considered not to be an issue of chatzar mohalachas. Okay. All right. Let's continue possibly with not question 8, but let's see, maybe TA 25. Echad rachel chamor ve'echad taifis b'mosira. Okay, it's a little bit confusing because we went back and forth 100 times. I got it half right because of this, probably because of the confusion. So, base pagya kana bal hachamor. The bal chamor. Let's get this language down. This was Amar of Ashi. Ze kana chamor ubase pageha. Ze kana mashetafes biyadai. So that is the maskana, which is TA 25. So again, because of the issue of Metzia here it will not work, because if the one who's holding it is not kind, he's not going to be mocked it to someone else. So therefore, the Bala Chamor is only going to be kind of the base Pageha, which we said is like around its head. And the one who is holding the strap, so he's typhus just that. And everything else, no one is kind of. Okay, that was TA 25. TB 26. Heichen ve'almi amr b'gemar shedarken berchiva fil be'ir. So this is Mamish question 7. I wrote Isha, Adam Chashiv, Rishos Harabim, Ish Zeal. And I wrote lowly person. TB 26. Okay, not bad. TB 26. Okay. All right, let's see the next Mishnah. Let's go a little bit weiter, and let's see the next Mishnah. Says the Masnitza, person's riding on an animal, and you see there's a lost object, and it's on the ground over there. And you say to your friend, can you do me a favor? You're on the ground. Can you pick it up for me? So Natla, he takes it. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep it for myself. Zachaba. The other guy takas kainit. Even though you're the one that pointed it out, but you didn't make any kinyanim. You just noticed a certain lost object and you pointed it out to him. If from the time it was given to you, that I want to be zoichet from the onset, lomer klum, that he has said nothing. Says Rashi, amrinan even when you say that when your friend picks up something, you're not kind it for the other guy, he gave it to you. So once he actually handed it over to you, then you're kind of a manushach. Says Rashi, so even if it's true that this guy didn't want to have you be kind it doesn't matter. He gave it to you as a gift. If the person didn't do a kinyan, Mishum Dahay Mischav and Liknos, he had no intention of being kind, he just picked it up and gave it to you. So Havli Hefker. Adamatul Yad, it's still Hefker even though he picked it up. The high the kind of the Akram Yade, the Kamul Hashem Kaniya. So Mamanashach, the person who picks it up, will not be kind it. So in the case if he actually physically gave it to you. Says the Gemara. Tanan Hasami Shalikate Esapeya. Let's say you have some person who's not the owner of a field, and he's gathering up pay the corners of the field. The Yamar Harizu Lapoini Ani, and he says that this should go to a particular poor person. And who is this? This is actually a wealthy person who is collecting paya, and he's saying this should go to a poor person. Belezer Omer Zachalo. Taka, he has the ability to be Zaychet for someone. So even though you can't collect pay for yourself, you can collect pay on behalf of someone who's poor. Actually, it has to be given to the first ani that's around, which basically you cannot make that statement. It doesn't mean anything. You can still be given to the first poor person, not necessarily the one you made that declaration that you're going to give it to them. So that's a machlokas. So Omer Ulu, Omer Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, machlokas mi'ashul ani. The whole machlokas is if the person who picked it up is an ashur, the one who made this declaration, they themselves can't be kinded for themselves. So this is also more brachos. That Beis Hillel says this, that you could, regarding the eating of damai, so whether or not, if you're rich, is it shaykh that you could still eat this? So, or in this case, you can still be zoycha to paya. Yeah, if you're mafker all of your possessions, you can become poor. You can make yourself poor. And therefore, since Taka has the ability to make himself poor, since you're zoycha for him, he could be kind it for himself. So now he's doing it for his friend, and therefore it goes to that person. His words mean something. Rabbanan Sari no. Chad migu amrina, tre migu amrina. You can't say two migus like this. So therefore, from a rich to a poor is where the machlokas is. Of only ani, which the poor person himself had the ability to be able to keep it for himself, but instead he decided to give it to someone else. So in that situation, everyone would hold that ani has the ability to get it to the other ani. Why don't you actually say that machlokas is between even a poor person who picks it up? Why? Metzia, when it comes to a found object, hakol niyemetzla, we're all considered to be like poor. What does that mean? Because anyone can take it. Pay I cannot take for myself because I'm rich. However, when it comes to a metzia, elo metzia is shaloi. So as we're going to see later on in the next parak, there are certain times you can keep a lost object that you found. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. You can still keep it. So therefore, when it comes to a metzia, hakol niyemetzl, we're all considered to be like poor. Utanan hoya roichev al gabe behema. We learned that if you're riding an animal, v'ras metzia, you find a lost object down there, and v'yomer, and you say l'chaver tanoli, go and get it for me. Not the v'yomer ani zachisi bo zachabo. So he said the guy who picked it up is the one who keeps it. So his words don't work. Now, if you want to tell me that the machlokas is from a poor person to another poor person, says Rashi, maybe we just don't say that migu at all. That's only when you picked it up for both of you. As we saw previously, Gabi Bizman Shehim Moedim, when both of them agree, so then Cholkin below Shua, then they can divide it. The time Yishum Demig Zachid Bahagba Zu Lanashi Zachan al Machabri. Since I picked it up for myself, I also picked it up for my friend. So therefore, since we're both agreeing, we both picked it up at the same time, it works because because I could have been Zeicha for myself and Zeicha also for you. And therefore, that's the reason why it works. But we don't say amigu that if he wanted to, he could have been Zeichel and Nafshe and Zeichel Chavri. So, back in the Gemara. So, if you want to tell me the machlokas is taka, not just usher to an ani, but an ani to an ani, not everyone agrees. As we continue Daf Yudam and Alf, Mastis and Mani Rabbanan. Then our Mishnah, that is like the sheet of the Rabbanan, says Rashi. The Ashmi'in on Reisha, the Hecha the Zachi Be'ihu, when you're Zaycha and Amrina Migu. The Seif Ashmi'in, the Hecha the Lo Zachi Be'ihu, Migu di boy Zachi Amrinan. The only time it works is if it's you get it for yourself. But if not, then it will not work. El Iyam Asher Ani Machlokes, Alba Ani Ani Hakol Zacho Loi, Hamani Rabban Rabbi. Who's this like? So Malay Masnisin di Amr Tchila. Our Mishnah is Tchila. What does that mean? Ha ani zachisi ba. When he says I will be Zaychet, the Kaimer Tchila Kaimer lay. Mitchila hig be hati halatzarki. Even when I picked it up, I always had in mind it was for me. Volatzarcha, not for you. Oyam habiyam etzil chaver kana chavero, dumyam dimani wa ani. Okay. So hachinam mistabra, that when the person picked up this object, again the guy was like, he picked that object up, he originally did it with his own intention of keeping it. The tani say ve'imish nasnu lo yamer ani zachisi ba tchila. It uses the language techila, that but if you gave it to him, it still doesn't matter, because once you gave it to him, as we saw in Rashi, it's now yours, the one on the animal. Techila b'seif lamli. Why does it say that language? Pshita. Obviously, this is what he was saying. It's the techila is a language which is also applicable to the Reisha. And the Reisha is also talking about a situation where the person originally said, I want it for myself. And since I want it for myself, that's the reason why I'm able to be kained. Ve'idach, tana seifel guli Reisha. Seifel di'er metchila, Reisha de'loyer metchila. So not necessarily is the Reisha the case where he initially said tchila. Okay, we're going to stop there. Let's look at question 8. Mishal, because the pay of Yom Harizu, Ploini, Ani, my time in the Rabbanon. So why do the Rabbanon say you can give it to any ani? So either because you hold it's talking about a case of an usher to an ani, okay, and because of that, trei migu amrinan, we do not say 2 migus. Okay, that's actually going to be one answer. There's going to be a second answer we're going to see in tomorrow's answer. Tomorrow's Gemara, rather. But in the meanwhile, question 8, we said that the machlokas is, again, the usher la'ani, and the Rabbanon hold chad migu amrina and trei migu amrina. That's going to be one answer. We'll see the second one in tomorrow's daf. TA 26. Ma tam na mi metzia chavero lo kana chavero. The hech mahan Metzia poyel lo bal habayas. Okay, we'll see that in tomorrow's daf. TB 27. Hechen lo tiknu chachamim b'andim shikna b'dalad amoisav ad kan.